खरगोशी खरगोशा के दोवें इक्को जिहियां ने एवें लगदियां दोवें इक्को जिहियां ने
है बहुत बड़े बड़े ने
खरगोशा जिहड़ा हुंदा ना ਉਹਦੇ ਮੁੱਛਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਾਲ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਲੰਬੇ ਲੰਬੇ ਇਹਦੇ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ ਜੇ और मंकी देखी है कितने बहुत बड़े नहीं अच्छा
काफी बड़े बड़े हैं पता नहीं कौन सी नस्ल है
पता नहीं वो खरगोशे नहीं ए खरगोशी होनी है
इधर नाम लिखा हुआ उनका कोई इस साइड पे देखो जरा यहाँ नाम लिखा हुआ
I can see that check.
Flemish giant rabbit come on it's a giant rabbit
I see the bird.
ये कोई वही गल है 4-5 किलो का खरगोश है एक
5 किलो का होएगा
या
Mama, look at the rabbits. We just want to go home. Is this a turtle?
Yeah, it's a tortoise.
But is he slow?
Slow.
How many turtles are there?
I only see one. What's his name? G.
I don't know.
It's African spurred tortoise. It's a tortoise.
But he's like a turtle.
Yep.
I can't see the turtle.
It's hiding.
Turtle moving.
It's trying to hide.
They can see us?
Yeah. It can live over 100 years.
What do you mean 100?
ਇਹਦੇ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਕਿ 100 ਸਾਲ ਤੋਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਇਹਦੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ ਬੜੀ ਲੰਬੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਇਹਦੀ
1000 is long.
ਬੰਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੂੰ ਤਰਲੇ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਮੁੱਕ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ 50 ਸਾਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਇੰਡੀਆ
ये तो पाकिस्तान में इतने हो गए 4 पहियों में बैठे
ये तो हमारे पास आ गए वो वापस चला गया
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are awfully happy to have you all with us here today. Now, hopefully you are ready to learn more about birds than you probably ever really wanted to know, because we are very passionate for the birds we work with and cannot wait to share them with you. So there is a wide variety of birds found throughout the world. There is in fact over 10,000 different bird species. That's almost twice as many birds on, or different types of birds on Earth than there are mammal species. But of course, some species happen to be a little bit more familiar to us than others. I'm sure you guys have no problems recognizing these birds at my feet. But did you know there's more chickens on this planet than there are people? Pretty impressive fact. But as I said, there is a wide variety of birds. So we've shown you some common species. What we'd like to do is turn our focus now on some of the more exotic species. So what we're going to do is head around the world and introduce you to a variety of different birds. So first off, we're going to head to Australia for our first bird. Now this native to Australia is pretty well known out there, but pretty exotic to us. Coming in from the side is Hyde, our laughing Kookaburra. So if you've been to Australia, you might recognize Australia because they are quite abundant, as I said, out there. Now, in the Animal Kingdom, they're certainly well known for their laughing call. That's what they're called, territorial call. So they'll fly to the edge of their territory, give out a nice big laugh, and then their neighboring kookaburras will respond with a laugh. What is that establishing? It's establishing where one territory ends and the next one does begin. If Hyde does look at all familiar to you, he has a close relative here in North America. and that is our belted kingfishers. These guys are in fact the largest member of the kingfisher family, but unlike a kingfisher who mostly eats fish, as its name would suggest, in Australia they're preying upon small rodents, small reptiles, and even insects. He's had some great flights out here today. We're going to get him to take that long flight home. Off and away he goes. Let's hear it for Hyde, our laughing kookaburra.
He's going again.
Camping.
Well, our next bird is usually easily recognized simply due to his sheer beauty. Now, this bird is a native to India, but they are in fact the national bird of India. Here he is now.
Peacock.
This here is Raj, our Indian peafowl. He is a peafowl because that's what the bird's known as a group. But more specifically, Raj here is a peacock, as he's a male of his species. Females are known as peahens and the young are peachicks. Now, how we can tell by looking at him that he is a male, he has this beautiful blue color to his head and his neck. Females are a little bit more dull in color. They actually have greens and browns that help them to camouflage themselves as they incubate their eggs. Now, a very distinguishing feature of a male peacock, that train. Well, they use it to prop up, display, and attract a female during the breeding season. But that season is coming to an end, so as you might notice, his train is a little bit lackluster. He's losing those feathers as they make him a bit more vulnerable to predation, but no worries, next year is another breeding season. He starts to regrow it sometime in January. But Raj has done a great job showing off his sheer beauty today. That was Raj, our Indian peafowl.
ना सही रखा राज.
All right, for our next bird, I'm going to make a bit of a mess out here. In his native land of Africa, they don't have the best reputation, but we can probably say the same thing for their counterparts here in North America. So let's have Minnie Joe, our African pied crow, come on out and hopefully change your mind of crows today. Now he looks very similar to our own crows. Obvious difference, that white band across his chest and around his neck. So why don't crows have a great reputation? Well, we tend to think of them as being a little bit dirty, maybe even a little bit. Now we see them perched along the roadsides, eating roadkill, rummaging through garbage, and eating that as well. Now we can all agree, sounds pretty gross to you and I, but for them that is a nice, easy meal, of course. But luckily for us, as we eat these items, it does help to clear nature's way of germs and diseases. Doesn't only make it safer for us, but it does as well for other animals in the wild. Now, certainly it is a great help to have Minnie Joe around, helping us clean up, of course, a mess that we let lie around. But a very interesting thing about crows that most people don't realize, just like a parrot, when they're raised around humans from a young age, they have the ability to learn how to speak and mimic our own voices. So all of our crows have learned to say hello for us. They've done a great job out here today. There goes Minnie Joe, our African pied crow.
Now, while most birds can be easily recognizable from their natural habitats that they're found in, other birds may be recognized from being the mascot of your favorite sports team, or perhaps the face of your favorite children's cereal. That being the case for our next birds, I'd like to introduce you to Papaya. Papaya is a Swainson's toucan, also known as a chestnut or triple toucan. Now, the Swainson's toucan is the second largest species of toucan, second to only the Toko toucan. But the first thing you're probably going to notice with Papaya is that large bill. Now, her bill can be 4 times the size of her head and nearly the entire length of her body. Now, you may be thinking that this is a heavy bill to carry around, but actually, to put in perspective, her bill weighs less than all of her feathers combined. Now, Papaya and all toucans use this large bill for many reasons, one of those being for mate selection. As if a male of the species were to be out here right now, they'd have the same coloration, except the male bill would be slightly longer and more curved compared to Papaya. Now, they also use this large bill to give them more of an advantage in the bird world, because they get to reach further into the tree canopy to grab fruit. And yes, I did say fruit. They are primarily a frugivore, except for during mating season when they do need a higher protein diet. They'll use that large bill as an intimidation factor against predators and competitors, as they will swoop in the neighboring nest to steal eggs so that they have more protein for their very own eggs as well. Now, you may think that it's a little awkward to be flying around with this large bill, but these guys are actually very acrobatic as they are hopping from branch to branch. They have very unique joints. Their joints are ball and socket formation, and this allows them to be able to be very agile, and they can actually turn their long beak all the way around and rest it on their body, so they can fit into small tree cavities while they are nesting. Now their beak it also acts to help with thermal regulation. So similar to the radiator of our car, this beak will help moderate their body temperature based off their surrounding environments. Now similar to the crow and the kookaburra that both have relatives here in Ontario, the kookaburra, they also have a relative here in North America, and that being the woodpecker. Now both the woodpecker and the toucan, they heavily rely on this heavy bill of theirs for survival, but they also have what are known as a feather-like tongue. And this helps very well when they are trying to eat their food. Now these guys being came from, but one of our other favorite treats are grapes and bananas. Alright, what do you have to say? Papaya, she's looking around. She's actually a little too hungry today. Trying to find whatever she can find. Now these zygodactyl toes mean that she has 2 toes facing forwards and 2 toes facing backwards. This allows her to have really good grips on the branches as she is hopping around looking for her next tasty meal. Just parrots. Now there are over 350 different species of parrots in the world. However, sadly, more than 50% of all parrot species are at risk of extinction. Now this is due to factors such as deforestation, habitat loss, and trapping for the illegal pet trade. But here at the app, and some of which we'd like to introduce you right now. So as they round that back corner, we're just gonna see how great and beautiful these parrots are. Now they do stand out in our safari environment, but when they're in the rainforest, they actually blend in quite nicely. The reds and yellows match the fruit, the greens blend into the trees, and the blue coloration actually helps them blend in quite nicely with the shadows found within the forest. Now one thing to point out right away is that big bill of theirs. Now this beak gets used to crack open a variety of different seeds and nuts, but it also acts as a 3rd foot, making parrots very acrobatic and agile. Wow. Here with a little bit of a flip. Now similar to papaya with those zygodactyl toes, here's a great opportunity to see these toes again. Check them out. 2 toes facing forwards and 2 toes facing backwards, giving them great grips on the branches. Now although they do spend a majority of their times up in the treetops, it's quite a remarkable sight when you see these parrots take flight. Topping speeds up to 50 to 60 kilometers per hour, they use those long tail feathers to help steer themselves, and then they can fan out those feathers when they're trying to slow down and have a safe landing. Now, of course, parrots, they're known for their beauty, but they're also known for one other thing, and that's, of course, their ability to speak. Now, contrary to popular belief, it's not actually these larger macaws that are the best talkers, but it's actually the smaller parrots, such as the Amazons, the cockatiels, and budgies that some of you may have at home. But joining us center stage, we do have Fernando. Fernando's our yellow-naped Amazon. He's quite the little chatterbox, so let's see what he has for us today.
All right, well, he'd like to start off by greeting everyone. Cheerful little guy. A polite little bird as well. He has a question. Bit of a mumble tower, but I see quite a few. It's great to see. Now you can't tell by looking at Fernando, but he's a male Amazon. Reason we know that is because we sent his blood away to a lab where they're able to determine that through his DNA. So to you and I, quite often a parrot will look exactly the same within their own species if they're male or female. So we do rely on that DNA testing, but we probably could have taken a few good clues from this guy that he was in fact a male Amazon. What happens when you see one of our female Amazons? Likes the girls' attention on him. Happy to hear that laughter out there because, well, Fernando thinks he's pretty funny. A little bit of a comedian. By nature, parrots are very playful. So Fernando, being no exception to any rule, has a favorite game he likes to play with us, and I think you might be able to figure out what it is. Loves a good tickle. Now we call him our master of sound effects because he's picked up a few living here. So first, us drinking a cold glass of water. Some good chug-lugs. He's learned to snort like a pig. Yeah, not too sure where you got that one. A little bit rude, but we're not done yet. He can bark like a dog. Not sure who he's scaring with that yappy little bark. But he's obviously quite talented. His talents extend musically. He loves to whistle and sing. So he likes to make a tune-up as he goes along. See what he has for you all today. There you have a very lovely Fernando original. Certainly appreciate that round of applause, as his abilities to sing are a little bit more limited to the fact that he's been learning to sing from us. So I'm going to ask everybody, use your imagination. This song does exist, and I'm really hoping you might recognize it. Nobody sings like that, okay? So we're going to clear him up. A few good coughs, a little bit of a treat, and I think we might have him back on track. Sounded it like our national anthem? Well, we certainly don't have parrots native to this country. The ones here have hatched in Canada. So he's quite proud of the country he has hatched in. Let's hear that again.
What is it?
Sounds just like us, but not too bad for Bird. Let's hear it from him. He's done a great job today. Well, we want to thank you all very much for joining us here at Parrot Paradise. We have one last bird I'd like to introduce you to. This here is Levi. He is our blue-throated macaw. So why is he so special? Well, the blue-throated macaw is in fact the most endangered macaw living in the wild today. So they can only be found in the wilds of Bolivia. Their numbers there are currently ranging in a couple of hundred individuals. Put that into a bit of perspective. If you're to have a look around you right now, there are more people sitting in our audience today than there are of his wild counterparts. So we want to thank you for visiting the park today, because with your visits, we're not only able to show off the birds that we love so much, but we're also able to join partnerships with the World Parrot Trust, working towards the future of this bird species in Bolivia. So thank you very much for your support in doing so. I want to thank you all for joining us here. Stay nice and safe and enjoy the rest of your day on safari. Goodbye.